for part 4 of my little video collection I've got going on the engine swap that I'm doing. Basically, my engine's almost set to be dropped in, but this morning I had an epiphany while I was sitting there trying to get my ass out of bed. And I'm going to go ahead and actually put on the flywheel and the clutch now before I install it. And I'm going to attempt something new that I've never done before in my install process. In my head it works, so I guess we'll see what happens. And I'll explain what I'm going to try to do a little bit later on when I actually go ahead and do it. So I'm going to walk you through quick on how to install flywheel and install your clutch and pressure plate. So I'm running, the competition clutch and competition flywheel. It's the ultralight. Sometimes I feel it's too light, especially on a boosted application, but I love it. It's a lot of fun. And on my clutch, I'm rocking the 6-puck Stage 4 sprung clutch. So basically, when you're installing a new flywheel, there's a couple things that you want to know. Is you want to torque everything down. I'm not a big fan of torquing things sometimes, but flywheels and engine specs I never mess with. So make sure you have a good torque wrench, and you're going to need some 12-point sockets. In this case, a 17mm 12-point and a 10mm 12-point. And you're going to want to torque your flywheel down to 90 pounds. And you're going to want to torque your pressure plate bolts to 16 foot-pounds. But usually I do about 20 because 16 just seems so light. And some people do it, some don't. I like to put a little bit of thread lock on my pressure plate bolts. Another thing that you're going to need is a clutch alignment tool. So basically, to start off, we're going to take our flywheel. We're just going to mount it up. Alright. And I'm just going to grab one. Alright. I'm just going to get these started just by hand. And then we'll come back and walk through the process of actually putting on your flywheel. So, here we go. Alright, so I've got all of my flywheel bolts just kind of down on there by hand. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to crank this up to 90 pounds of torque. What's this? Newton foot-pounds. Here we go. Alright. And there's 90. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the top. And you always want to do it in a cross pattern. So I know it's not clicking yet, but I'm just getting it closer. Oh, and one thing that I did is I put a breaker bar on the crank pulley, and it's hitting the ground, so that'll stop this from spinning once I get down to the part when it starts, actually putting pressure on there. Or else what would happen is it's just going to spin and spin. And since I'm just here by myself, that's the best option I have. Now you can feel that they're really starting to get pressure. So I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, I'm going to start from the top, and you're always going to go on a cross pattern. Alright, you want this to go on even, so here you go. So that's it for the flywheel. Alright, so now my flywheel is on. It's at 90 foot-pounds. What we're going to do is we're going to use your little alignment tool here. Get your clutch out. And we're going to go ahead and stick our clutch on there. Alright. So now our clutch disc is on. And we're going to come over and our pressure plate. You'll see that how it lines up. It might take me a try or two to guess right. Maybe you might get it on the first try. Yes, on the first try. Alright. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tighten these little bolts down by hand first. But like I said, I use just a dab of thread lock, just because like 16 pounds ain't much, and I know that's what it says to use, but it's still such a small number. Alright, so now you're going to want to take your torque wrench and drop it all the way back down to 16, but I do it at 20 because I just hate the thought of 16 pounds. That's like nothing. Alright, so here it's at 20 pounds. Switch it over to the 6. And again, you have to do the same thing. Go in a cross pattern. So I'm going to start here. Get it close. Move down to here. Alright. Now that they're close, you can see it pull in the pressure plate, because before I just kind of had it set on there. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to torque these down. So just go until she clicks. Alright. Next one. Click. She clicked. You can actually pull this out once the clutch has enough pressure. She clicked. Click. Click. and just kind of go back over, double check, make sure everything's okay. And that's that. Now your clutch, your flywheel, and your pressure plate are all set to go. Alright, so now I'm going to get ready. I'm going to drop that in there. And then I'll explain my other process through there. Cool.